Woohoo! We did it! This is episode 50 of the Option Genius podcast. Wow, this is a momentous occasion. Most podcasts don't even make it past like the 7th episode. So to make it to 50 episodes, and it did take us over a year. I apologize for that. I tried to do one episode a week, but things got busy and didn't get it always there. But we've been doing this for over a year now. I'm going to keep doing it. It's fun. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from a lot of people. If you have not rated and reviewed the podcast, please go to iTunes or whatever podcast app you're listening to this on, and please do that. Let us know. Give us some feedback. Good ratings are always appreciated. But yeah, this is episode 50. I'm excited, and so I wanted to do something special. For those of you, some of you guys might know this, but I'm actually working on a book right now called Passive Trading. And what is passive trading? Well, it's the way that I have started to trade. In the past, my whole goal was, hey, I just want to learn how to make money, make a good income. Didn't matter how I did it, how long it took, whatnot. I did realize that when you're selling options, it takes less time than day trading or whatnot, and it is pretty boring. You're putting on a trade and you're just waiting. You're monitoring it, but it's really a waiting game. But even then, as I got better and better, the accounts got the kids got a bit older, I started to realize that, I wanted more out of life. I just didn't want to be only trading or only focusing on the markets. I wanted to do other things. And I said, okay, so how do I continue to make good returns from my investments and from my capital, and at the same time have enough time to do the other things that I wanted to do? And so for the past several years, I have been tweaking my trading, and what the result is something that I call passive trading. Basically, it's a way to beat the markets in your spare time and still earn really, really good results, right? And so we want it to be a simple way. Of course, it has to be selling options. We have to be selling options because that's what I feel is the best way to do it when you're not gambling. You want to be conservative. You want to make money consistently. This is how we do it. And so the book, it's not finished yet. We're still working on it. I have done most of it. I have sent it off to the editor. They are compiling it. They are putting all my thoughts, moving it around. And so it should be ready soon, maybe a month, maybe 2 months. I don't know. But for this 50th episode, I wanted to do something cool, something special. And so what I did was I recorded a rough draft of chapter 1. And that's basically going to be this episode. So basically, we're going to be talking about what is passive trading, why should you do it, and what are the benefits. That is what this episode is all about. So please sit back, listen up, take notes, and enjoy. And thank you for being with us for 50 episodes. And here's to another 50, 150, 200 episodes more. Again, please, if you haven't rated and subscribed to the podcast, please do that. Leave us a review. Give us a rating. It helps get the word out about the show. If you have any questions, always you can email us. But for now, let's cue the music, and then let's talk about passive trading. At Option Genius, we believe that you deserve freedom. Financial freedom, so that you have no more worries and more than enough money. Time freedom, so that you could do what you want, when you want to do it. And choice freedom, to live your life on your terms. But the system and Wall Street are rigged against those little guys. So how do we fight back? Well, my friend, that's what this podcast is all about. My name is Alan Sama, and this is the Option Genius Podcast. What is passive trading? So passive trading is a new, revolutionary, amazing way to trade in the stock market, to invest in the stock market, while getting better returns and still having more safety than normal. Now, we do this in a couple of different ways, but normally if you are investing in the stock market, on average, you're going to make around 8% a year. But what if you could do better than that? What if you could do double, maybe 15, 16% a year or more, while at the same time having more safety? Because if your money's in the stock market,
At any time, the market could drop 50% or more. You could lose half your money in the blink of an eye, and it's possible at any time. And it has happened in the past. It has happened throughout history. And it can also drop 20% in a month. It could go from a bull market to a bear market in just a few days. And we've seen that happen over and over again in our lifetime. Corrections are 10%. That's a 10% loss of your money, and that's considered normal. But what if you were doing passive trading, and instead of losing that much, you had a hedge? You had a way to limit your losses so that the losses were not so great. Wouldn't that be exciting? Imagine you could make more than normal and still have a hedge and lose less than normal when the stock market drops. That is what I'm talking about with passive trading. Now, there are many other benefits to passive trading. One of the reasons I call it passive is because I want it to take as little time as possible. My whole purpose of having it called passive is so that it is as hands-off as possible. It does require some time on a monthly basis, but a few minutes to maintain your investments, to maintain your portfolio, is what is required. And if you're able to trade a few minutes a month for additional gains, then passive trading is definitely for you. Now, when we talk about investing, there are many different ways to invest your money. But they fall into two major buckets, right? So it's either active or considered passive to some degree. Now, when we talk about active investments, we're talking about stuff like day trading. We talk about stuff like futures or commodities. Cryptocurrencies is very popular nowadays. And for those of you who are not investing, active methods to earn an income would be stuff like getting a job, owning your own business, being a self-employed professional like a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant. And all those are active. Trading options is also an active way to do it. But what I wanted to do was to find a way to do passively, where I don't spend a lot of time, because that's kind of the definition of passive, right? The definition of passive means that you don't spend a lot of time. And normally when we think of passive investments, things come to mind like real estate. So buying real estate and renting it out. That is considered passive to some degree. Buying and holding stocks is passive because you're just buying them and you're just holding on to them come hell or high water. What else is passive? There are numerous other investments, annuities, life insurance. All of these are all passive. But a lot of the times when it becomes passive, you give up control. The reason that we want it to be active is because we want to be in control of the situation, because I firmly believe that there is no one that cares about your money more than you. There is no one that cares about your investments more than you. So yes, there are investment professionals who will give you advice. They will invest your money for you. They will run syndicates and say they have these special projects that you can invest your money in, but they all come with risk. A lot of the risk in passive investments is that it's illiquid, meaning you cannot cash out right away. Real estate is very illiquid. If you want to sell a house, it can take anywhere from 30 days to 6 months, depending on the market. Life insurance, annuities, all of these passive type investments are usually illiquid. So that is really the knock against passive. And in order for you to invest in most of these passive type investments, you already have to have significant reserves and significant amount of money to invest. Most people don't have that. So what if we had a way where we could control our money ourselves, and like I said, do better than average, lose less than average, and still not have it take a lot of our time so that we can actually go out and enjoy our lives. That is what I'm talking about in this book. That is the whole purpose behind passive trading. Now it gets even better. Because normally when you're in the stock market, you buy a stock and you hope it goes up. But it's really a 50-50 coin flip, Over time, hopefully it'll go up, but there's no telling. You might pick the wrong stock and it goes down and it stays down and goes out of business. You never know. But what if there was a way that you could trade in the stock market and place very, very high probability trades? And what I'm talking about when I say high probability is we take statistics and we make trades that, statistically speaking, have a very high chance of working out in our favor and actually making us money. So instead of a 50-50 coin flip, it could be a 70% probability of making money, or 80%, or 90%, or 95%. The percentage of probability that you want is up to you when you're placing passive trading trades. Now, passive trading has two major components. The first is that we own stocks. But we don't own just any stocks. We don't want to own every single stock in the index. We don't want to own every stock in the market. We prefer to own high-quality companies that are not very volatile, that pay off dividends. And that's an important part. Because when it comes to companies telling us the truth, there are not too many ways to know if a company is actually being honest with us. Now, you might say that, well, Alan, the company has earnings reports, and I could read the earnings reports and find out how the company's doing. Or I could listen to the conference calls that the company does with investors, and I could hear from the executives of the company about how they're doing. Or I could talk to analysts and the people on Wall Street that cover these companies and know how they're doing. Those are all great. They can still lie. And the most classic case of this was Enron. Everybody thought Enron was doing great. Until it wasn't. Until it went bankrupt. Because they were cooking the books. And if you go throughout history, they weren't the only ones. Many, many companies have had problems, gone out of business because they were not being honest. Many other banks have lost billions and billions of dollars because they got greedy. They went outside of what they should be doing. Even take a look at mutual funds. Mutual funds are only required to tell you what they hold, what stocks they own every quarter. So every quarter they come out with a report saying these are the stocks that we own and this and what percentages. But during the quarter, they can buy and sell any stock, even if they're not supposed to. So if it's a mutual fund that invests in utilities, that fund could own something like Facebook. And you would never know. I mean, I don't know how often this happens, but we've heard stories, and it's been in the news that it has happened in the past. But without inside knowledge of any particular mutual fund, we don't know if it happens in them. But I'm just giving you an example of what could happen. So when it comes to dividends, giving the investors back a portion of the income of the company is one of the most surefire ways of knowing that a company is doing well or not. Not only that, but the dividend will increase our yield. Now you might be saying, well, I could invest in a company that's a high-flying company and could make me 20-30% a year, or I could put my money in a boring dividend-paying company that only goes up 4 or 5% a year and gives me a small dividend. That's true. But our purpose here is not to buy high-flying companies and to trade in and out of these high-flying companies. if you want to do the research, if you want to bet that the next stock that you pick is going to be a high-flying company, be my guest. That's not very passive. That's called active trading. That's not what we're doing here. We want to buy companies that are going to be around for 100 years from now. They're going to be paying a dividend so that we know that they're safe. And when they pay dividends, that decreases the volatility of the stock price. So I don't want a stock that's going to go from $50 to $100 back to $75 to $125 back to $50. That's not the kind of stock I want to be trading. I want to buy a stock that starts at maybe 40, goes to 43, 47, 45, 49, 52 in a year. I would be happy with that type of company because of the second part of passive trading, which is where we trade options on these companies. And we don't just buy options, we sell options. And there's a big difference. And we're going to have a whole chapter on how options work and how to understand the lingo behind them if you've never traded options before. But at this point, you have to realize that when we sell options on particular companies, we get paid to do that. And so if a company is giving us a return of, say, 8% a year in the yield, the stock goes up 8%, they pay us a 2% dividend a year, that gives us a 10% gain on that particular stock. But by selling simple options, by one simple option strategy, you can make another 1 to 2% per month. So even if you only make 1% a month extra from the options trading, instead of a 10% gain, you now have a 22% yearly gain on the same stock. Again, with less volatility and less risk in a company that is stable. That's pretty cool in my book. Now, when you're selling options, there are many different ways to look at it, but one of the ways to see it is as if you are selling a lottery ticket. There are many people out there that buy lottery tickets. I mean, lottery is a huge multi-billion-dollar business. And people become addicted to the lottery. And it's sad, really, because they have such a small chance of winning, but that small little hope keeps them coming back and buying more and more and more and more tickets. But what is the goal of the lottery, right? If you're buying a lottery ticket, your goal is what? Take a small little risk. Hopefully it'll pay off really, really, really big. And so when you look at it that way, yeah, I'll spend $5 on lottery tickets or $10 on lottery tickets. That is the thinking of a gambler. That is the mentality of a gambler. Now, the people that sell the lottery tickets, they know that it's a loser's game. They know that they're going to sell a lot more in tickets than they're going to pay out in prizes. And that's why they do it, right? It's very similar when we're selling options. We are selling options to gamblers, to speculators, people who want to bet that a particular company or a particular market is going to shoot in one direction. The problem for them is that it is incredibly difficult for that bet to pay off. And that is why when we sell options, we have such a high probability of profit. We have such a high probability that our trades are going to make us money, and for the person who buys the option to lose their money. So we're going to give into some examples later on, but for now, I want you to understand that selling options is a simple way to add yield to your account by just clicking a few buttons. Once we go through the examples, you're going to see how easy it is and how little time it takes. But if you've never sold an option before, you might be a little bit concerned. But the way we do it is perfectly safe. And because of the way we do it, it allows the passive trader to have consistent profits as well as consistent gains. So I know people who trade in different ways, and one of the biggest complaints that they have is that there's very little consistency. They are dependent upon the market. So if they are a day trader, they need a lot of volatility to be able to find trades. If they are a bullish investor, like most people are, they find it very hard to find trades and make money in a bearish market. If the markets are going sideways, most traders find it very difficult to make money. And the overwhelming truth is that most markets are moving sideways 70% of the time. So 70% of, take any time period, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, you will notice that that particular market or stock is heading sideways. Only 30% of the time is it in a uptrend or a downtrend. With passive trading, we take advantage of that. And we can make money in all types of markets. Upwards markets, bullish markets, bearish markets, and sideways markets. In fact, the sideways market is my absolute favorite market, because I can easily sell my options over and over and over again and consistently take out income from the markets without having to do very much. Because when you're selling an option, like I said, you're selling a lottery ticket. And the lottery ticket, well, it doesn't last forever. It has a timing on it. So when is the lottery going to take place? Same thing with our options. Our options have an expiration date. And so the option buyer has to pick a stock that they think is going to move in a direction. So they have to be right on the direction. They have to say, okay, this stock is either going to move up or it's going to move down. They also have to be right on how much is it going to move up or down. Is it going to move up 5%, 6%, 10%, 20%? They have to be right on that as well. And they have to be right on when the move is going to occur. Is it going to happen in a day, a month, a year? They have to be right on all three of those metrics. And that is why experts have said that over 80% of options expire worthless. Meaning that somebody bought the lottery ticket and it did not pay off 80% of the time. So you can imagine, as an option seller, we are winning on most of our trades. And when you win on most of your trades, that provides you with consistency and profitability. So we do not have a roller coaster. Most investors, especially stock traders, they have the roller coaster equity curve. Meaning they make money and then they lose money. And then they make money and then they lose money. They make a lot of money and then they lose a lot of money. That's not our goal. Our goal here, with passive trading, is not to hit home runs or grand slams. We are not looking to become millionaires or billionaires overnight. You're not going to retire overnight. This is a process that puts the odds in your favor, but it does take time for your gains to add up. So what we're talking about is we're talking about making 2, 3, 4, 10% per month. Now that's not going to make you retire overnight or turn you into a millionaire overnight, but month after month, year after year, if you continue and you compound or you take out money for income, but if your account continues to grow, that turns into a very, very large sum of money very quickly, faster than you imagine. That is the whole point of passive trading. Now, when I started, I've been trading options. I've been a full-time trader for over 15 years. And I started by trying all different types of trading. I tried futures trading, I tried day trading stocks, I tried not the Forex markets, I tried commodities, I tried options, I tried all manner of things. But I learned that most of these types of active trading require you to be very good at what's known as technical analysis. Now, technical analysis, in simple terms, is the ability to look at a stock chart and determine what the stock is going to do next. So you've heard, different analysts come on the financial media, or maybe you subscribe to some emails of theirs where they tell you that they look at a chart and they start drawing lines all over the chart and they show you, there's a moving average and there's support over here and the stock is going to bounce off of this number here and it's not going to go higher than here. And then they might use very complicated technical indicators. There are thousands of them actually, many thousand technical indicators that people use to try to get a leg up on the stock market. Unfortunately, most of these indicators do not work at all, or if they do work, they do not work with any regularity. Because if they did work, then these technical analysis would be so rich that they wouldn't have to be doing technical analysis anymore. They'd be the richest people in the world because they could look at a chart and tell you what's going to happen. But that's not true. There are very few wealthy technical analysts that got that way because of their skills. Most of them become wealthy, the good ones become wealthy, because of their marketing skills. Because they teach the other people how to do the analysis, or they will sell you their newsletter to tell you what they think is going to happen. Or they write books, or they create new indicators for you to buy, all of which is self-defeating, because they still don't work. So in the end, technical analysis doesn't really help. And so in passive trading, we use technical analysis somewhat, but we are not overly reliant on it. So if you're an active trader, you need to use technical analysis to try to figure out what your trading instrument is going to do next. But most people can't tell you, because most of these indicators are not working consistently. It might work, it might not work. You never know, so you cannot be completely dependent upon it. And that is why most active traders lose money. That is why most people trying to make millions from their trading lose money. And that is why I lost money. Because I, for one, do not know very much about technical indicators. And I am not that good at technical analysis. I know enough, and that's all I want to know, because it's good enough for my purpose. And so when I found what saved me, what saved my family, what saved my health, my income, was the strategies of selling options. And those strategies is what helped me to turn my trading around, to become a consistent trader, to become a wealthy trader. But I always thought in the back of my mind that I wanted a simpler approach. Because selling options can be very complicated. There are many different strategies to learn. There are many different ways to fix those strategies, to adjust those trades. And unless you spend a lot of time learning and trading, you can lose money. So what I wanted was a way that I could spend even less time trading and more time doing what I want to do in life, while still making very good income and very good returns from my investment, from my portfolio. And that's when passive trading was born. Because if you only trade options, you do not have the stability of stocks. You do not have a firm foundation. If you only trade stocks, you have a foundation, but you don't have any rocket ships that can really, really boost your returns. So when you have the foundation and you have the rocket ships, you have the ability to take a small amount and really make astronomical gains. Turn it into a very large amount very quickly. And so that is what sets passive trading apart from all other types of trading. Now, when I talk about how much time it takes, that really depends on how much time you want to devote to it. Just like anything else, you could be very conservative in passive trading, or you could be a little bit aggressive. If you are very conservative, then adding another 10% to your returns every year, very doable, very easy to do. And whether you do it in a retirement account or a taxable account, you can do that in probably less than 30 minutes a month, no matter how large your portfolio is. If you're more aggressive, then you can make a lot more. And so 100% yearly gains are very achievable. They will take more time, but again, probably not more than an hour or two a month. The thing to know with these options is that when they expire, the trade is over. So there are many different types of options that have different expiration cycles. So you can have an option that expires in a week. You can have an option that expires in a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. I like to focus for passive trading on options that expire less than 2 months. 2 months or less. And when they expire, that trade is over. And so I get to sell more options and get into another trade. And so that is why I say that it'll take a certain amount of time every month. You cannot just put these trades on and forget about them. You do have to check in on a basis, maybe every month, maybe every week, or whatever you feel comfortable with. But you do need to check in on them. But like any other passive investment, you still have to check in on it. So if you own a residential property that you are renting out, if you are managing it, then it's not really passive, because you can get phone calls all hours of the day or night. If the rent doesn't come in, you have to get on the phone. You might have to go through the eviction process. You might have to do all of that. Now, to make it truly passive, you can then turn it over to a property manager, who will then take a very hefty fee for managing the property and handling most of the headaches, but then you lose a large portion of your gains. And even then, it's not completely passive. And like I said earlier, real estate is illiquid, and with real estate, you really have no control over the money. You have control over what the house looks like, the upkeep of the house, but when it comes to the neighborhood, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to rents, that is really outside of your control. You buy a house in a neighborhood that becomes a bad neighborhood, your investment loses value, your rents go down, and you couldn't do anything about it. When it comes to passive trading, you actually have full control over all of your money all the time. Your money is liquid all the time, meaning if you wanted to take it all out, you could sell everything, let your options expire, and it's liquid, it's cash. Or you could keep it and keep compounding it, making it grow month after month after month. And either you can let the account grow, or the money that you get from selling options can be used as income, as cash flow. Because when you sell an option, you get that money in your account right away. So if I were to sell an option today for $100, that $100 would be in my account today, and I can actually take it out and use it however I want. Because that is the price that I sold the option at. So there are some passive traders who are retired, and their houses are paid off, they're doing well, they have enough savings. What they really want is more monthly income. So they use their accounts and they sell options on their stocks, and every month, whatever they make, they take it out and they enjoy it. There are other passive traders who are just getting started. So they're younger, or they're worried about retirement. And so their main focus is to grow their retirement accounts, or their savings, or their investment. And so whatever gains they make, they leave it in their account so that the account can grow exponentially. It can compound. Their gains can compound. So if they make 5% a month, if you start off with $100,000 and you make 5% a month, if you do simple math, simple interest, then you have a 60% gain, and that account will be worth $160,000. But if instead you compounded, then in the first month you make a 5% gain, your account is now worth $105,000. But in month 2 you make another 5% gain, your account is not worth $110,000, it's worth more than that. And by the end of the year, after 12 months, your account is not $160,000, but it is a huge amount that we have to figure out with a calculator, because it was compounded month after month. So we have these passive traders who are just compounding their accounts. And then there are those that want to have their cake and eat it too. So these are the passive traders who want both. They want growth and they want income. So if that's you, that's fine too. You can leave a portion of your gains in your account and you can remove the rest and enjoy it as income. Because it's your account. It's your money. You can take it out whenever you want. Nobody can tell you what to do with it. No, there are no restrictions of when to take your money out. So it's really an amazing form of trading and investing. And once people hear about it, their first thought is that it might be too good to be true. And that's what I thought at first as well. But through this book and through the stories that I'm going to share with you and the examples, there are people all over the world doing this right now every single day. And that's why I wrote this book. To get more people introduced to this concept, to get more people introduced to this way of living. Because the current status of retirement in this country is insane. It's not working. 100 years ago, everybody had a pension fund, and they were taken care of. They would work their whole life, and then their company took care of them, or the government gave them a pension. But that all changed. Now we are all responsible for taking care of our own retirement. And for most people in this country, that scares them to death, because they don't have enough. And to help these people, the monstrous industry of Wall Street was born. And unfortunately, Wall Street looks out for itself more than it looks out for the investors. And we have a whole chapter coming up on that, about how Wall Street is actually ripping us off. And that the only way currently to really get ahead financially through investing is to do it on your own, and to do it in a simple way. My mantra is to keep it simple. And if there is anything complicated, then I don't want any part of it. I want everything to be as simple as possible, because simple always works. The more complicated you make things, the more things break. The more things can break. And so let's keep our trading simple. Let's keep our investing simple. Let's keep the strategies that we use simple. But, very importantly, we have to have the percentages on our side. We have to have the odds in our favor. Just like the casino in Las Vegas. The casino makes money because the odds favor the casino. Wall Street is nothing more than the largest casino in the world. If you want to prosper in this casino, you have to have the odds on your side. And with this book, I aim to show you exactly how to do that. So I am excited for you. I am excited, especially if you've never heard of passive trading before, or selling options, or dividend stocks, or investing, because it's a whole new world. It's an exciting world. And you're going to meet people in this book that have taken advantage of this situation and have really changed their lives for the better. Because they were common, ordinary people just like you who were having trouble financially, but they decided to take action. They moved forward cautiously. They used their common sense. They started out small, and they got bigger. And so, I wish the same for you. Whatever your goals are in life, whatever your dreams are, whether it's a new house, a new car, paying off your debt, paying for your kids' college, going to see the grandkids, large or small, whatever your dreams are, whatever your goals are, they are achievable. If other people have done it, you can do the same. And with passive trading, there are no limitations. All you need is a laptop and an internet connection. And you can literally be passive trading anywhere around the world. If you don't have a lot of money to start with, that's okay. You can still start. The smallest trade takes only $100. If you have a lot of money, that's okay too. Because you can literally do this with hundreds of millions of dollars and it will not affect the market. That's why Wall Street, fat cats on Wall Street, use strategies that we do. People like Warren Buffett. He uses the same strategies, and if they're good enough for him and his billions, they're good enough for me. One of Warren Buffett's quotes that I'm going to paraphrase is that if you do not find a way to make money in your sleep, you are going to work until you die. Now that is a very heavy quote. I would like you to think about it for a few seconds before you move on. Currently, if you have no way to earn money, earn income, other than your job, your business, or just sticking your money into a mutual fund, you will continue to work until you cannot work anymore. And the sad fact is, Warren Buffett says you're going to work until you die, but the sad fact is, that is not true. Because most people cannot work until they die. Health-wise, they just cannot. Once you get to a certain age, nobody's going to hire you. Once you get to a certain age, you're too frail. Once you get to a certain health status, maybe you cannot work. Maybe you become disabled. Or your mental faculties are not all there. And so the time for you to take action is today. That's why I'm so happy that you've picked up this book. And I hope that you read it. I hope that you understand. You take the time to understand what it is, to learn the strategies, and to reach out to us and ask questions. If you need help implementing this, My team and I are available to help you. Another advantage of passive trading is probably the biggest advantage that is overlooked by a lot of people. That you are actually making money all the time while you sleep, while you're awake, while you're at the beach, and your trades are working in your favor all the time, no matter what you're doing. And so you're earning income no matter what. Currently, as I write this book, as I type these words, my options are losing value. They are decaying, and I am making money. To me, that is the most freeing feeling, that I do not have to work for my money. If I do not go to work, I will still make money. Now, if you're working a job, that's very hard to understand. But that is what true freedom is, where you can make money, you can live your life, and not be limited. Most other active investments will not make money if you're not doing them. If you're a day trader and you're not day trading, you're not making any money. I don't want to be glued to the screen. I do not want to be watching the financial media. I do not want to be trading. I love trading, and I'm very grateful for everything trading has given me, but I would rather be doing other things. And for me, that is helping other people, playing with my family, playing with my kids, spending time with my wife, going on different trips. One of my guilty pleasures is going on long drives. And I live in Texas, so we have lots of highways and lots of open roads. So whenever I'm feeling in the mood, I will just hop in the car and go for a long drive for an hour or two and come back. If I was working a regular 9 to 5, or if I was a day trader or an active investor, couldn't do it. Another cool thing is that options lose value even when the markets are closed. So that includes weekends and holidays. So if you sell an option, it's going to make you money even when the option is not being traded. The price of the option is the same. It cannot go up and down in value. Nothing can happen. But the value of the option will decrease because of what's known as time decay. Every day, that option gets closer to expiration. And so the value of that option gets lower and lower and lower. I know passive trading has made an immense difference in my life. I know it's made an immense difference in the hundreds of thousands of people that I have trained. I hope that it sincerely makes a difference in your life. All you have to do is follow the steps that we're laying out in this book, and the results speak for themselves. If you do not have the money right now, you can start off with what is called virtual trading. Virtual trading is where you get a fake account, where you get a real account, but it has fake money in it, and you can put on trades as if they were real. And that gives you practice, gives you experience, and it gives you what's known as a track record. So if you trade this way for 6 months, and you show that you've made money month after month after month after month, not only will it give you confidence, but you can take that track record and show it to someone else that actually does have money and does not know how to do this for themselves. Because right now, people go crazy over minuscule returns. They're desperate. People are desperate for earning money. So if you can show somebody that you can make 10% a month or 5% a month, that is incredible. And people will happily give you money to trade for them, even if you have none of your own. And you can share in the profits. Virtual trading also helps because you can, even if you have your money, even if you have a lot of money, virtual trading helps because you can get started with no risk. So you don't have to put your money at risk in order to learn. So you do it slowly, put on some trades, get the hang of it. When you become consistent, that's when you start investing your own money. You start off slow, start off with a small amounts, increase it as it goes along, and eventually you're off to the races. So it's not like starting a business. If you go out and you buy a franchise or you start a business, you have to put up all the money up front. And then there's a great risk that it might not be successful and you might fail and lose all your money and you might even be in debt after all that. And you have to be working hard to the bone to make that business succeed. And if it still doesn't, then you're out of luck. You lost time, You lost money. You might have even gotten hurt. All those resources you don't get back. This is a business. This is a way to generate income and growth that has no risk to start. You can start today with no risk at all and practice and do it and learn. What other income-producing activity can you say that for? There are very few out there that are actually legitimate. And this really works. When things aren't simple, that's when they get scary. Now, take a look at Wall Street. They keep us, or they try to keep the average person confused by using very large language, very unique language. They try to intimidate, and they try to put the message across that we are not smart enough to handle our investments on our own, that we need them, that we have to give them our money because we cannot do it, because they're smarter than us, because they're more educated than us, because they focus on the financial market all the time for a living. And so there's no way that we can compete with these people or do as well as they would do for us. But when you look at it, when you look under the sheets, when you look under the covers, nothing could be further from the truth. Yes, there are very complicated strategies that some of them use, but they don't use them for our benefit, for the individual investor. They use it for their own benefit. The most complicated, the largest, the best strategies are used for their own companies, for their own banks and investment firms. Unless you are already very, very, very wealthy, they do not want your money in their investment. And so we, as individual investors, are left with financial planners and investment advisors who tell us to put money in mutual funds, index funds, ETFs, because that is the only thing they know. But those have limitations, and even then they try to confuse us and make us dependent on them for the proper advice. Because we don't understand things like diversification and asset allocation. Even the word asset allocation is just a more complicated way of saying, what do you own? What investments are you in? That's what a normal person would say. But a financial planner would say, what is your asset allocation? Just to make themselves seem smarter than they really are. And when it comes to education, the great thing about passive trading is that you don't need any. You don't have to go to Harvard to understand what we're going to be doing. Anybody with a brain can understand passive trading. That is my goal, to make it as simple as possible for anyone to understand. We have teenagers who are using our strategies to make very good money for their parents. Can you imagine? If a teenager can do this, so can you. So I don't care if you didn't go to college. I don't care if you haven't been a successful investor in the past, if you lost your money in all different types of investments. I don't care if you never invested money before. All of that changes thanks to passive trading.
Do you want to get started living the Option Genius lifestyle today? Well then, head on over to optiongenius.com and sign up for our free 9-lesson course on how to sell options.